Here we have another fraction of problem. You are in the early stages of becoming a fraction of rock star. So let's check this one out. The first thing we need to do is prep our workstation. Drop a line, rewrite your fraction as is. You don't change it, as you know. Next, when you see the word of, the mathematical operation that should automatically come to mind is multiplication. Again, we're not bothering to use that x. We're using the dot from now on. 5/8 times 64. Well, we need to make that whole number into a fraction, don't we? So, in order to make a whole number into a fraction, we simply slap it over 1. So, 64 becomes the numerator, fraction bar, over 1 in the denominator. Again, it's that simple. Now our workstation is pretty prepped. We're ready to go. So, up here, I'm just going to, as I've done in the other videos, I'm just going to write that first operational step, which is division. We need to find a factor that 8 shares with 64. Now, many of you know your multiplication facts pretty well, so you know it right away, but for those that don't, let's switch the page here. I'm going to try this out. If you need to write to the side your factor trees, please do so. So let's work out 8 real quick. Obviously, the easiest recognizable one is 8 times 1. Well, okay, you can't break 1 down anymore, just a 1 times 1. So let's break 8 down from there. What goes into 8? What multiplies by another number to equal 8? Well, 4 times 2. Well, we can't break 2 down anymore to get 2 whole numbers, except for 2 times 1, of course. But we can break 4 down a little bit more. 2 times 2. That's pretty much a factor tree of 8. We can't go any further than that. What about 64? Now, there's a lot that goes into 64. But again, the first one is 64 times 1. Well, that didn't really get us anywhere except to establish that 1 is a factor, and 64 is a factor. 64 does not go into 8, though. So we need to break it down a little bit more. We need to break this down. As you know, 8 times 8 equals 64. Now, do we need to break it down anymore? Not exactly, because it's just repeated here to our left. This problem's nice and simple. But what factor besides 1 do they share? What is the highest factor that they share is really the question you're asking yourself. 8. They both share the number 8, the factor of 8. So having seen this, let's jump back here. What we have now is 8 divided by 8 equals 1, and 64 divided by 8 equals 8. We saw that on the other page. Now we multiply across because, again, our second operational step is multiplication. Do your denominators first. 1 times 1 is 1. Numerators, 5 times 8 is 40. And we've been through this before. You would never give an answer of, well, it's 40 over 1. No, you wouldn't do that. You would simply say 40. Because, indeed, 40 over 1 is equal to 40. And then, as you know, write it in the space provided. So when asked, what is 5/8 of 64? You can answer 40.